paid $172,000.
Okay.
And I could easily get rid of it tomorrow for about $315,000.
Wait, what did he say?
He said he made $100,000
On one deal?
on one deal.
No way.
Yeah, listen.
I paid $172,000.
Okay.
And I could easily get rid of it tomorrow for about $315,000.
Hey everyone, welcome. This week I had the opportunity to sit down with a former client and probate expert, Rafael Velasco. In this exclusive interview, he's going to shed some light on the little-known topic of probate investing and even share a case study in which he profited $98,000. Think about that. How many of those do you need to change your life? Rafael will show you how you can get started and how you can contact them to partner up with them on your future probate deals. Thanks for tuning in and enjoy. All right, so we're here with Rafael Velasco, the probate expert. How you doing, Rafael?
Good. How are you, PK?
Good. Good to have you, my friend.
Nice to have to be on your channel.
All right. So it's been what, like 2 or 3 years, right?
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah.
Right on. How's everything been?
Busy.
Busy?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on and constantly trying to improve.
Cool. Right on. So you recently got your real estate agent's license in the state of Illinois, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah, I've been a real estate investor for about 5 years now, and I just recently received my license and working with sellers in Illinois.
Awesome. That's awesome. So let's go back. I mean, you're obviously a rock star right now, but I mean, let's go back to 2 or 3 years ago when you first got started in real estate investing, because I think our audience are more focused on what you did on the investing side than what you're doing with your agent's license, because that's who our all of our viewers are going to be. They're going to be real estate investors. They're going to be business people. So tell us about how you got started, and let's rewind to about 3 years ago.
Yeah, well, I guess I can maybe tell you briefly about how the bug hit.
Sure.
So when I was 2021, I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad for the very first time, and that changed me completely. But I did absolutely nothing for 5 years.
Okay.
And I actually wanted to buy a multifamily when I got married, but my wife wasn't really up for that. So we purchased a single family home, and then I always thought about the book and getting into real estate investing. And after we got married, I saved money and purchased my first home, and that was about 5 years ago.
Okay. And when you say you bought your first house, was that for you guys to live in, or was it to rent out?
Yeah, no, we just wanted to find a home that we can raise a family in, so that was just our own personal home.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then tell us about how you got started investing.
Yeah.
And how your career has progressed since then.
Yeah, so probably about a couple of months after we got married, I started thinking about retirement. And now that I had a family and a wife, and was hoping that children would come into the picture.
Oh, not right away. Retirement, down the road, right?
Yeah, long term.
I was about to say it. You look like a young guy. You wouldn't want to. You're not going to get married and be like, oh, I want to retire.
So I started just thinking about different retirement plans for the future. So I was getting approached by my employer and 401k and all the rest of the stuff, and I started looking into mutual funds and. Some effect was the book, and then I just really understood real estate. I think it's very easy to understand, and it's everywhere. It's everywhere. So I started researching a little bit about real estate investing, and started reading a lot of books and listening to podcasts and watching YouTube videos. And
not mine, right?
Yeah, not yet.
Not yet.
And
someday.
and then I just started saving some money. We were newlyweds, and we had spent all our money on our wedding and stuff like that, and we started saving. And our first investment came about a year and a half after we got married.
Okay, awesome. So tell us a little bit about that one.
Okay, yeah. So our very first one was in a C neighborhood. It was a multifamily. And this is my my beginning days. So I didn't really, well, we're always constantly learning, but this is when I really didn't know very much of anything. So I just pretty much put myself on a rice and beans, try to save as much money as I possibly could.
Okay.
And I was able to come up with the down payment, and also was able to come up with some funds to repair the property because the home was in needs of some repairs.
Okay. And when you say multifamily, was it 2 units, 3 units?
It was a 3-unit in Cicero.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Awesome. So you still have it?
I still do. I still do.
Awesome. And
yeah.
How long ago was that?
That was, I should know this. It was 2014.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's been some time. So you have a long-term outlook.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It wasn't really the greatest investment that I've made, thinking back on the kind of stuff that I could have improved upon. But, it got me in the door.
Sure. Absolutely. But I mean, if you bought it that long ago, I'm sure, the market has only increased since then. Right?
Yeah, no,
so
it has.
You're doing okay.
I'm happy.
All right. Right on.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what happened?
Well, I saved all that money and I went on rice and beans, and I had an investment property, but I was back at square one. I didn't have any money. I had spent it. My acquisition was about $45,000, and then the repairs were about $20,000, and we were back at step one, and that was a point where I thought to myself, I'm like, there's got to be a better way. At the same time, I also started attending real estate investing clubs and really talking to a lot of successful investors, and I just started seeing a lot of success, people that had multiple properties. So I thought, well, man, I'm going to spend the rest of my life, rice and beans, like Dave Ramsey says, to acquire a property, every other week. So I, researched as much as I possibly could, and that's where I came across a.
So you bought your first one cash.
I used my own liquid funds.
Okay.
The first one was
your savings.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, my savings to purchase the first one as far as down payment, and a multifamily for conventional is 25%. So it's a good amount.
Did you get a loan on it, or did you just?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
yeah.
You actually did finance it,
right?
And you came up with a down payment.
Right.
Entry level 3 flat in Cicero.
Right.
And then now you're wiped out, and you have hopefully 3 tenants, and cash flowing that are all performing, right?
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was hoping for, to have the multi, and it was rented. It's a very easy place to rent, and it was cash flowing. About $250 a month, which, if you really think about it, I mean, that's not really enough money to really get you into that next one.
Okay, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
I could see that. I mean,
yeah.
$250. I mean, you need to
something.
call someone to repair a furnace, and it's gone.
Gone.
Yep. So, heck, 2 months worth could be gone just like that, right?
Especially when I walked into something that already needed about $20,000 worth of repairs. So
sure.
That was tough.
Now you had to come out of that out of pocket.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. This is where I didn't have an LLC. I really didn't understand much about the credit side of starting a business.
Got it. So then what happened?
Then I started researching. So I started reading books. I started attending real estate investment clubs, and I started watching a bunch of YouTube channels. And then I started hearing how a lot of people were having some success leveraging their credit, which I had, just in order to be able to have quicker results as far as acquisition.
Okay, so you had excellent credit.
Right.
Okay, cool. And
I guess you would consider it excellent. I think it was in the 700s.
Okay, yeah, I mean, it's always a sliding scale, and that there's multiple different scales out there, as you know, it, even on the personal side. So, we go by the FICO score. If your FICO is above 700, obviously you're doing well. So, let's continue. So then what happened?
Yeah, so I guess getting back to that first one, I kind of realized the kind of mistakes that I made, and probably the biggest mistake was that I purchased retail, and that kind of limits what you can do really with the property. So then I try to focus myself on acquiring homes that were off market, So I started mailing to people that were possibly in distress.
Okay.
And I came across my first off-market deal. I think it was about a year and a half after that first initial one. By that time, I had already saved my funds, but then I started thinking, hey, well, I need to purchase something that really needs repairs, and I can just put some sweat equity. And then I started, realizing the different strategies to acquire more, and one of them was the BRRRR strategy. I don't know if I'm sure you're aware of it. I just don't know if you know that.
Explain. Let's hear your side of how you'd explain it.
Well, it's pretty common. There's a lot of people that are really using it. It's no secret or anything like that, but it's pretty much acquiring a home. It's buy, rehab, repair.
Rent. Well, buy, rehab, rent, repeat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Refinance and then repeat.
Okay.
I totally messed it up. There's a lot of R's in there.
Yeah. Maybe you have to rent before you could refinance. Otherwise,
Yeah.
it's not the appraisal may not come in, right?
Yeah. Let's try that again. It's buy.
Take two.
Rehab.
Okay.
Rent. Refinance and repeat.
Holy shit, that's more BRRRRs than a winter in Chicago, dude.
And I'm Hispanic. The R should roll off my tongue. But when I figured that strategy out, then I started using some of my business credit, because I was by the second one I had learned a little bit more, and then I was able to purchase my second one cash. Okay. So I purchased the home with my savings.
Okay.
And then I was wiped out again, but I had business credit to fall back on, and I used the business credit to repair the property. And then I waited the 6 months most banks.
So that's when you came to us, right? That's when we processed your file, and
Yep.
we got you. I don't remember. It was like $75,000-$80,000,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And it was entry level funds,
Right.
But it was all cash lines that you could use to pay contractors and even down the road draw cash on, right, in order to fund your down payment.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you used part of that on your next deal.
Yeah, exactly. So I used my savings to purchase the home cash, and then the repairs were just 100% business credit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then a couple months later, I refinanced as part of the strategy. I paid my credit cards off. I paid myself back my initial seed money. And try to do it again.
So, did you leverage the 0% like we advised you to?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So you got all your repairs done at 0%
right.
interest for a period of time, and then by the time that interest came due, you were able to refinance and you were able to pay everything back, right?
Yeah, and I still get actually some of those offers in the mail, so they're still out there.
Certainly, and that's because you're servicing the way we taught you, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, and
yeah.
Have you increased your credit limits
since
then?
I've done a couple of rounds to try to increase my amount, and I've been successful in doing that, and for me the more the better, really. The more access you have to funds, the better. In real estate, at least for me, it's a very cash intensive sport, kind of.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of money that needs to go out, and the business credit is just another tool that you can whip out, just in case something crosses your path that you need to take down.
Yeah, I mean, you need everything in your toolbox: hammers, screwdrivers, right? And each one has its own purpose. So you were able to use business credit to do your entire rehab, and then you were able to finance it. This is the one you showed me the pictures on, right? The one in Westmont?
No, that was another one. That was another one. Yeah.
Man, you're on fire.
Oh,
I can feel the heat right here. Damn. But the one you showed me the pictures of, let's go through that one. That one came after this deal, right?
Yeah. Actually, the one that I shared with you came a couple of months afterwards, and if I had used all my liquid funds on that first one, I wouldn't have been able to get into the one following that.
Okay.
So at the time, I was holding on to one property, and it was rented, and I was just holding to get it refinanced, and another one crossed my path, and I was liquid enough to be able to get into that. And that one was again another home that was in distress that I could put some sweat equity in, and do the burst strategy. And I don't want to go through the accurate or whatever it is.
Well, this time you'll get it right. I'm pretty confident. But nevertheless, this is when you discovered your niche.
Right. Exactly.
Right? Of probate investing.
Right.
So let's go over this deal real quick that you did in Westmont.
Yeah.
Because I've seen the pictures, that's the one I'm interested in.
Yeah.
So you went through and it looked like the before pictures you showed me, it needed a ton of work.
Yeah.
I mean, let's go through what you did.
Yeah, so the home was built in 1984, and
Okay.
it wasn't updated.
Oh, that's brand new for Chicago, man. Come on.
That is brand new.
You ask a New Yorker, and it was built,
Yeah, in the 1800s, right?
Yeah, it was built. Well, no, it was built yesterday. If you ask a Californian, it might as well have been built in, when George Washington may have lived in it, right? So it's all subjective to the
area.
geographic area you're in. So
yeah, I consider it a new build.
yeah, for us it's
for us, yeah.
built yesterday.
Right.
New construction.
Yeah. So
84 build.
Yeah, 84 build, and it hadn't been updated since.
Okay.
It was a newer subdivision in 84. So we did pretty much, the exterior was fine, structurally it was fine, but it just needed everything. So the home needed bathrooms redone, kitchen, floors, walls, top to bottom pretty much.
Okay, cool. So you were able to get in and do both bathrooms, the kitchen,
right,
flooring, and obviously all paint. Did you do any windows or roof?
Yeah, we did some windows. The windows that were in the bedrooms because they were just so poor, and obviously we wanted to keep the bedrooms as quiet as possible. And the rest of the home's windows were in pretty decent shape. Just the windows in the bedrooms were in poor shape.
Okay, right on. Now, what did you pay for it?
So I paid $172,000.
Okay.
And I poured $45,000 worth of business credit into it.
Okay.
And I'm probably guessing you're probably looking at what it's worth now. It's worth roughly, I'd say about $320,000. I think if I could easily get rid of it tomorrow for about $315,000. Score. Yeah. it was a really nice deal. And then the exact same thing happened with that one. I was able to refinance it, pay off my business credit. I had my original seed money back, and I could do it again.
Now you're on the last R, repeat.
Yeah.
Right? So,
yeah.
But you didn't get rid of it, did you?
I did not. No, I rented it, and it's cash flowing. I think it's, since my, I was hoping to build a portfolio of rental properties for the future, not now, but for the future, so we can retire in some cash flow.
Long-term outlook.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you still have it. It's cash flowing now. The rehab was pretty awesome. I saw it was showroom quality rehab. Tell us a little bit more. Did you always intend on did you intend on flipping it, or did you always intend on renting it? What was your thought process when you first walked in before a single day of demo was done? What were you thinking?
Well, I was thinking it was a great home in a great area, and I wanted to keep this home long term. And I just thought of the type of tenant that I wanted to attract. So I didn't want to have revolving tenants. I wanted to have somebody in a family that really would enjoy the home and would stay there long term. There was great schools in the area, so we were hoping to have somebody that had children that could build a whole entire life in this home. So yeah, we went above and beyond. We did stainless steel appliances. We did granite countertop. Redid all the floors. We didn't skip out on anything really. We did the most we possibly could to it to keep it as a long-term investment.
Got it. So your thought process was you could get more rent and attract a higher quality tenant,
right,
and lower your turnover.
Exactly, because
right?
That's the biggest factor there.
Because yeah, you rehabbed it like it was going to go on the market, man.
Yeah.
So
They could have.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and how did that turn out? Like, let's talk about the rental process of it a little bit. Did you How long did it take?
Timeline.
Yeah.
So I purchased that home. I closed on it December. I think it was the last couple of days of December.
Okay.
And we spent 2 months rehabbing it. And this wasn't me. This was a bunch of contractors, working their butt off to get it done. But we had it done in about 2 months.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
45 grand rehab. You got it done in 2 months.
Yeah. And
you listening, George?
George. So we had it done in about 2 months, and we marketed it for rent, and I had multiple people interested in renting it out. We just found a great tenant almost right away, and by April 1st, there was a tenant in there, and the house was cash flowing.
Wow, so that was 4 months total.
Yeah.
For the 5 or 6 hours in the middle.
Yeah, absolutely. And then most importantly, there's a lot of equity in there now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you still have that used business credit now. Let's talk about the acquisition of it. It was a probate. Right? Yeah. And tell us what a probate is.
So probate is a legal process that needs to be done when someone passes away, and it usually it grants the executor or the administrator, the beneficiary, the right to transfer rights to the property.
Oh, come on, dude! Explain it so that a dumbass like me can understand it.
Yeah. So mom passes away.
Okay.
And she has a home, and in order to transfer title, someone's got to sign the deed, and the court process gives usually the eldest daughter or son rights to sign on the behalf of the deceased, and that person is also in charge of liquidating the estate, and then trying to have everybody on the same page as far as family members and stuff like that, and then selling for the highest price is what most people are looking for.
Right on. So you're telling me when someone dies, they don't take the house with them?
No, unfortunately, you don't take your possessions. No, we go away empty-handed. So take advantage of the time you have on Earth.
So like, this is a natural process. I mean, everybody dies,
right?
And a lot of investors are focused on foreclosures. I mean, it's a buzzword, short sale. It's a short sale, it's a foreclosure, right. It's an REO. All of that has to do with not paying back a debt. Now, probate is a fascinating subject. I could never find somebody that has mastered it, and that's why, man, I feel blessed that you're here. So
thank you.
And I could pick your brain a little bit. So when someone passes away, everyone's going to die.
Yeah.
I mean, you might think you're invincible when you're young, but, just wait till you get my age. And
everybody's day is coming.
It feels all too real, right? So, anyways, all of these properties that are owned by somebody, eventually they're going to turn.
Right.
And every day people are passing away. I mean, it's a sad part of life.
It is.
But there's people making a living in probate investing,
right?
Because something has to happen. The property becomes actually a burden to the executor, which is assigned to deal with the estate, right? So at that point, this person could be a son or a daughter that's living out of state, right? And is potentially, if there's debt on it, is burdened with paying 2 mortgages, one on a vacant house that was owned by their parent or aunt or uncle or someone that passed away, and they have their own mortgage to pay. So it becomes a burden, and that's why you call it distressed, right?
Exactly.
And so if you don't mind, let's use an example of your acquisition.
Yeah, so I can give you a quick example of I'd like to say that I chose probate, but really I'd like to believe that probate chose me, just because I was talking to all these people that were going through all these problems, right? Some of them were out of state, like you mentioned,
sure.
And they didn't have someone that they could trust local. And the executor or the administrator is in charge of dealing pretty much everything. So that person's in charge of closing the deceased's business and paying off creditors and disposing of the property. And then there's also beneficiaries or people that inherit the property, and that needs to be divided. So I guess a clear example that I can see, though, there's different different situations, and every situation is a little bit different. But one of the ones that I can think of just off the top of my head is it was a son and daughter.
Okay.
And the home was in distress.
Right.
And it was
because the mother or father passed away, right?
Yeah, and then most people that are elderly really don't keep up with the maintenance.
Right.
Yeah, and so the children are now in charge of this property that's in poor shape, and they need to figure out how to get rid of it for the highest amount of money. So one of the ones that I can think of was a daughter that walked into her mom's home, and it was a hoarder. She was a hoarder, and there was stuff everywhere. So she needed to figure out...
Like the TV show.
Yeah, like the TV show.
Like straight up, like crap piled all the way to the ceiling.
Yeah, there was newspapers. I mean, there was some stuff that was not even opened. Just stuff that they just accumulated over the years.
Were there any antiques?
Well, I'm not sure. She wanted to...
You don't have to answer that. you could just sit back and smile.
Yeah.
Think about it and smile if you want.
So in that situation, she really pretty much dealt with that, but I could tell that she was overwhelmed with the situation because she was actually in Illinois, but she was I think she was about 15 miles away, and she was a regular person. She had a full-time job, she had a family, children, a husband, and now she got dropped this home with stuff to the ceiling, and her brother was wondering when this was all going to be taken care of, and they were also sitting on this home that was vacant, and they were 15 miles away, so they needed to get rid of it. So she actually took care of the process. I think she hired a clean out company, and they just literally just dumped everything out, and what was left is this home, and she said, well, mom left bills and they need to be paid, and we need to get rid of this as soon as possible.
Okay. And you don't know the particulars of these bills. It was just there was debt on the estate that had to be paid.
Right.
And then this house was actually the asset that they could liquidate in order to satisfy that debt.
Yeah, so most baby boomers hold most of their wealth in real estate. When people inherit mom or dad's estate, the most valuable item is the piece of real estate, and it's why it's so important that the process goes smooth and people are able to generate the most amount of money out of that single asset.
Right. Okay, awesome. So you purchased it, and they were happy.
Oh, absolutely.
You're happy.
Yep.
You went through the BRRRRRRRR,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And you still have it. It's in your portfolio. So let me ask you this. The probate process, is it different from state to state to state, or is it at a federal level? Is it at a... tell us about that.
Yeah, so there is a probate code that most states follow, and Illinois is one of those states. So it's pretty basic. If the deceased had a will, then there's some specifics that maybe that you need to go through in order to give the deceased wishes.
So it's pretty basic to you.
Okay, well, yeah.
Kind of like finance is pretty basic to me.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. So it varies slightly from state to state, right?
Yes.
So
and county, actually, because it's at a county level.
Oh, it's at a county level.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to compare to foreclosure, because foreclosures are at state level, but they're filed. Every state has their different statute, and they're pretty much almost identical from county to county.
Yeah.
See, the foreclosure process, I know. The probate process is extremely mysterious, and a lot of people don't know it, and that's where there's this huge opportunity that's created.
Definitely.
In probate investing, is because there's this smoke and mirrors, I want to say, because it's so confusing. There's not a lot of information out there.
Yeah.
and there's a lot of parties involved. Sometimes, I mean, you could have 8, 9, 10 kids that all own, whatever they're pro rata, 10 to 12% of a property, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and in that case, there's a special way that you have to get it to the closing table so that it doesn't fall apart, because if one person doesn't sign off on it, the whole thing could fall through, right?
Exactly.
So I had that happen in one of my investments. That's how I know about it. But luckily there was this was off the MLS, and luckily there was a realtor involved. That the 2 realtors, 3 attorneys, I think, and they were able to get the issue resolved. One person out of the 8 refused to leave. They're like, well, it's grandma's house or whatever, and they had this emotional attachment, and they just refused to sign the documents at the last minute. Like the day before closing, one of the grandsons was like, no, I've been here 50 years and I'm not ready to let it go yet. And all it takes is his 12.5% or whatever that interest comes out to say no, and the whole deal is off.
Right.
So the closing got extended. Eventually we got it done. They were able to talk some sense into him, and we got the deal done. But there's not a lot of information out there on how the probate process works. So that's my point. There's some intricacies that are involved, and you've been through it and you know it. So what would you say to someone that's watching this video that is actually going through the probate process themselves right now? The poor soul that just lost a loved one and is now dealing with this burden. What message would you send to them?
I think probably the most important thing is to have the right team around you. So to have an attorney that's super familiar with the probate process and the county that you're going through the probate case in, to have a realtor that is familiar with the probate process and have connections as far as if you need a clean out company, if you need an estate sale company, all that stuff really comes from a network and from people that really have gone through the process before. I hear a lot of people in that exact situation where they think, oh, well, there's just a lot of stuff involved. And, the majority of these people that are going through probate, they actually need help. And a lot of people have problems, getting a hold of them because they think, well, what kind of emotions am I going to bring out of them? Their loved one just passed away. And you're going to get that sometimes.
Oh, absolutely.
But the majority of these people are overwhelmed. And if you're really there to benefit the estate, it's a win-win for everybody.
Absolutely. And they only have a certain amount of time.
Exactly.
From the day of the death, or I don't know where it starts. I'm kind of just talking out of thin air here. So, but and correct me if I'm wrong, please. They have a certain amount of time to settle the estate.
Yes. So
is that correct?
Yeah. So the probate in Illinois usually takes at minimum 6 to 8 months, and it could take about a year and a half. But at the year and a half, you want to have everything pretty much settled. And to be honest, if you're emotionally up for it, you want to take care of that stuff as soon as possible, because most of these homes are free and clear, but you still have expenses attached to that property, whether that be taxes or just regular bills. And besides that, usually these homes are vacant, and that can only lead to disaster. If the furnace goes out and the pipe bursts and nobody's in there, I mean, it could cause tens of thousands of dollars worth of damages. So
sure. And likely the executor isn't want to put their own money in to liquidate it. So unless grandma left the bank account with a couple $100,000.
Yeah.
But then if you have more than one person, I don't know what they're called, but more than one person that's entitled to that cash. Beneficiary, yeah. Then someone might say, well, no, I don't want to fix the piece of crap. The pipes bursted, let it go, unload it.
Yeah.
Another one might say, no, we'll get more value out of it. I'll deal with the contractors. But the first person might be like, well, I don't want any of my money going into it.
Right.
And then the second person might be like, well, then why should my money go into it and you benefit from the sale? And
Right.
it just becomes this
Absolutely.
huge cluster
Yeah.
of confusion.
And that only increases the more people are involved.
Right.
So the less people, the better.
So it's like Big Brother. You take a bunch of people with different personalities and shove them into a house together,
Yeah.
and they're forced to pretty much settle this estate. And
Yeah.
I think that's where a lot of investors might dread going into a situation where
Yeah.
there's a lot of different emotions and
Absolutely.
everyone reacts a little bit differently to death, and thereby makes a situation very complicated.
Yeah, if I can give one tip for those kinds of family, it's going to be communication. The more communication you have with everyone, and the more involved everyone is in the process, the better. So sometimes the executor or the administrator is in charge of signing over actual legal documents, but everyone should be a part of it, so no one really gets left out. Because as soon as somebody gets left out,
Right.
they think, oh well, they're hiding stuff from me. What's going on? What's going on with mom's stuff? And one of the funny things is it happens in the best of families when you have emotion, high emotion, and you have sometimes a lot of money involved. Sometimes it's an explosive combination.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I could see that. So now let's switch gears a little bit.
Okay.
All right. So it's going to happen. Eventually, death is going to hit everybody, right?
Yeah.
So how do you, as an investor, create a mutually beneficial relationship with the executor in order to, I don't want to say take advantage or benefit, but how do you create a situation where both parties benefit from it? And how does the investor, a real estate investor, come in and benefit from a situation like this?
You need to provide value. Everyone wants a good deal, right? Everybody wants a great deal.
Yeah.
But in order for you to be of some service and get that good deal, you need to provide value. So you need to be educated on the different kind of things that the beneficiary is going through, and how to ease the liquidation process.
Okay. Awesome.
So in the investor, executor or administrator, I would say be 100% honest. That's always the best thing. I mean, there's really no secret sauce. Just be yourself, and really just look out for the best interest of the estate, because the executor or administrator, they're usually under some serious stress. They have a lot of paperwork they need to close out, and they're dealing with the attorney, and they're dealing with sisters, brothers, nieces or whatever. So you need to be that helping hand.
Got it. And how would you come across opportunities like this if you're an investor? Like, you don't have to give us everything, because this would be a 4-hour conversation otherwise. But just in a nutshell, talk about a little bit about your marketing. Talk about how you get leads, and how other investors could do the same in other counties.
Yeah, so basically how I started was I just went down to the county, and all these probates are public records, so you can pull these files, and sometimes there's phone numbers there, and addresses to the deceased home, and also the executor or the administrator's contact information and their mailing address. Okay. And you wanted me to talk a little bit about my mailing. I no longer go to the courthouse and pull these records anymore. So
you found a way to get all the data.
Yeah, it's just
through like a list broker or what have you.
Yeah,
because now you have money. When you were new, you didn't
Right.
have a lot of money.
Yeah.
Now you could reinvest back into your business
Right.
to help it compound
Absolutely.
and grow it.
Yeah. So when I was broke, I had a lot of time, so I could go down to the courthouse and pull all these files and contact and lick and stamp every single envelope or whatever.
Don't remind me of those days.
Yeah, I know. So
I still have nightmares about paper cuts on my tongue from licking all those envelopes.
So now I do a mailing to everyone in my county that's going through probate, and then the follow up is the phone call, actually talking to these people and getting a hold of them.
So you actually call them after you send them what, 1 letter, 2 letters?
So it's a campaign, and it's 3 letters for the first 3 months, and after that, if they're unable to be contacted, they kind of drop off. But we try to get in contact with them through mail, and then a follow up with a phone call.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay. All right, and then that will eventually lead to some opportunities, and now even more opportunities, because if they're not interested in selling their house immediately, or if they have no need to just dump it and they could hold on to it for 2, 3, 4 months, you're able to list it.
Right, exactly. So I guess getting back to providing as much value, I wanted to align myself with providing the client and the estate with the most amount of value. So I talked to some realtors, and some of them have gone through probate, but most of them are really not aware of the process and what gets involved. So I decided to become a licensed agent, because not everyone is in distress, and some of these properties are actually in great shape.
Right.
And they just need to sell for the highest price, and which is understandable. So I talked to all these people that even if we got along and I could really help them, they really just needed the home sold and put on the market and exposed to the most amount of buyers as possible. So that's why I now am a licensed broker.
Awesome. So you could potentially save these homeowners. Well, they're not homeowners anymore. I'm used to saying homeowners because I deal with regular traditional transactions.
Yeah, it's a little different.
Again, man, this is such like an underworld. Yeah. It's awesome. I mean, it's not awesome that someone passes away. That part's sad. But the opportunity that's available to investors is freaking awesome. And, to be able to help somebody in that situation is double awesome. So you as an agent, if the house is in great shape and just needs the carpet shampooed and maybe a fresh coat of paint, you advise them to put a couple $1,000 into it to get it in decent shape, and then you have a leg up because Uncle Charlie might be a real estate agent, but he doesn't know the probate process like you do. You already have a few transactions under your belt, so you're able to take this home that needs to be listed and taken through the probate process, and you could get it to the closing table without having it fall through like the one that fell through on me. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So on top of that, I've also rehabbed homes, so I have a lot of contacts as far as contractors and people that can really help these executors and administrators out. But at the end of the day, it's really just to provide value. I don't know if I told you this or not, but I've closed on properties and people thank me with tears in their eyes.
Wow.
They're thankful that this, for some, it's a burden. That's it's a big deal. There's a lot of stuff that gets involved when you're trying to close out an estate out.
Awesome. So now let's say, what would you say to an investor that currently has a probate opportunity but doesn't know what to do with it, and how can you help somebody like that?
Give me a call.
Awesome. Give you a call. So we're going to leave your contact information in the description, right? Yeah. Or Dan could either give the folks your contact information now. If he's if we're nice to him, he'll do it. We'll ask him nicely.
But I guess for those people that are not local, right, and they're across the nation and they're working with probate, it's really just to build your network and understand the process, and specifically understand the process in your county. Okay. And really understand how you can help these people out. And I know everybody's thinking about the end goal is to make the most amount of money, but that comes through actually helping people. And it's pretty basic. If you cook a good burger and you can make somebody happy, you're going to get paid.
That's true. Absolutely true. So if an investor hits you up through either your website, or you don't want phone calls, man, you're going to be, I'm not saying that I'm not Gary Vee. I don't have like millions of viewers just yet, but you're going to get bombarded. So what is your website?
So my website is IllinoisProbateSolutions.com, and there's a lot of information there that for those of you guys that are interested in probate, there's frequently asked questions, and also some of the services that we provide for executors and administrators.
Okay, awesome. And if someone wants to get involved and let's say they're a real estate investor, maybe has 1 or 2 deals of experience, and they want to get involved and say, you know what, I want to try out the probate strategy. What would you say to a brand new investor that has no probate experience whatsoever?
Get educated.
Okay.
Get educated. I went on Amazon and I purchased every single book on Amazon that was associated to probate. And some of the books that I was reading were books that mostly attorneys were reading regarding probate, but I just try to get involved as much as possible. And the reason to that is that there's a lot of real estate investors out there. There's a lot of people out there, and if you don't stand out from the crowd, and you can't provide a real service, you're not going to get any deals.
No wonder I don't understand a damn thing you say. Freaking executors and estate administrator.
Oh, you're smart, man. You'd figure it out quick.
I know. It's just this particular subject. Like I said, I don't know too much about it, and most people don't. So here you are, man, as an expert.
It's becoming an expert in your field and really dedicating your time to it. So if I have a credit question, I know who I'm going to. I'm not trying to deal with it myself, and I'm not trying to figure it out myself, because that's a waste of time too.
Sure.
You let the professionals do what they do.
Yep. What would you say to someone that's considering going through our program right now, that's looking at either traditional financing or saying to themselves, well, I could do this myself, or I don't need business credit, or why should I do this? How is it going to help me? How is it going to benefit me? And if they're asking themselves that question, what would you say to them?
So they're already at an advantage. They're listening to us talk, and they're watching this video. I mean, that's already huge. And I wish I had this, when I first started, because my first one, like I said, wasn't a great deal. For those people that are thinking about going through business credit, this is probably the best time, really. I mean, you hear it everywhere that money is still cheap.
Right.
So why not really take advantage of that to really leverage everything and try to do as much as you possibly can. As far as doing it yourself, yeah, you can probably do it yourself. I could probably wash my car too, but I really don't have the time. I'd rather have somebody that already has the bucket, already has the soap and the sponge, and they could wash my car probably better than I can.
True. Yeah. I mean, same thing with cooking, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Don't get me started on cooking, man. It'll be a fire hazard.
Yeah.
So, you want to rely on experts that have been doing it for years, and you want them to get the job done.
Yeah, and it makes sense if somebody is a professional like yourself and been in business and have countless of success stories, of one of them being myself. I mean, to be honest, it's a no-brainer, because it gives you more opportunity, just plain and simple. You can save like I was doing, and to be honest, looking back, I mean, that was kind of a mistake, to be honest, because I could have leveraged my credit to acquire more quicker.
So the name of the game is to leverage money that is not yours in order to make a return that's higher than what you're paying out in interest.
Exactly.
Sounds like what the banks do. I mean, that's essentially what you're doing, is you're taking money that is not yours, that's borrowed, and getting a 18, 19, 20, sometimes even up, I've seen upwards of 60, 70% return, annualized, right, investing in real estate. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the name of the game.
Run your finances like a business,
Awesome. So let's talk about your future plans real quick. You got plans to retire in a 10-year period, right?
Yeah, I'm hoping to get away from my 9-to-5 soon, and eventually, I say retire, right? But really that means not having a 9-to-5 really.
So having the option to choose your lifestyle is what you mean by the word retirement.
Exactly. Yeah. Freedom. I guess it's what it comes down to.
Exactly. And you're still going to have your hustle, but you're just going to channel your energy in a different direction.
There's been so much effort put into this that I don't think you can really just turn it off. You know, that you put so much effort and you want to strive to be the best that you can possibly be. I think it'd be hard for most people to just to shut it off. You know, just to be like, hey, I'm done. You know, I'm gonna walk into the sunset and call it a day. It's probably not likely.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's especially for a true entrepreneur. They can't shut it off. There's no way. So awesome. Well, it was awesome having you here, my friend. Thank you so much for stopping by.
PK, thank you so much for having me.
Man, it's been a pleasure.
I appreciate all your help and the amount of stuff that you guys have provided for me. Thank you so much for having me.
Right on. All right, guys, we're out. Until next time.